Hi, I'm Matt from Educraft.org, the instructor of the Minecraft modding camps. So we've set up our environment for developing mods on your computer. And next up, we're going to need to load in some of the files. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. Now you're going to have this thumb drive that you got at the end of the Minecraft summer camps, or you can go to our website, educraft.org, and download these files there. But either way, you're going to have to plug them into your computer, and then we'll go from there. So once you plugged in your thumb drive, I assume that you have access to it, and you see this SRC file right here. And this contains all of your Java files, all that good stuff. And it even contains some good resource files for some of the stuff that came already packaged before camps. So we're going to take that SRC file, we're going to right click or Control or Command C, we're going to copy it, and then we're going to find our Forge folder. So some of you may be on the desktop, mine's in this Minecraft mod folder on C, I double click on that, and look, there's the SRC folder, so you just right click and you paste. And of course you'll replace everything in there in order to have a good development environment. Okay, so if you have all the files loaded over, when you load Eclipse, you should get not just the example mod stuff, in fact you should have gotten rid of that, and you should see something where you've got this org.educraft.mymod, and if you open that, whoa, you see all this stuff here, these classes and packages, things like that, and then that's in your Java section, which has all your code organized in classes, these files, and packages, these files. And then under that you have your resources. These are your textures usually, and your things that are called JSON files, which are things that tell you how to use your textures. And you have these lang files, which tell your program what to call all of your stuff. That's what you do right here. So we'll get more into that later. Okay, so next up I'm going to go over what the different parts of your Eclipse working environment are, so you kind of understand how they work together. So ultimately Java's about loading up a bunch of things called classes, which in other computers' terms we would probably call them files. And these classes are arranged inside of things called packages, which are basically like folders. In fact, if you actually look at the way these things look on your computer, they are files and folders. But in Eclipse, we call them packages and classes. And your classes generally do a specific thing, but your classes can use stuff from other classes. And the things that your classes do are called methods. So let's just take a look at some examples from your code. So now when you run Eclipse, you won't have that example mod anymore. So you'll start up Eclipse, and you've already selected the workspace, and hopefully you checked to keep this workspace. Now you have this full folder, src main java. And remember, you moved that src file into your Forge folder, and it has this main and java inside of it, and it detected the Java project. It also has these resources inside of it. So right now we have a bunch of packages that contain all of your classes, your Java files. And we have in resources, we have packages that contain your block states JSONs, your lang file, your block and item JSONs, and your texture files, which are PNGs, 16 by 16. Okay, so I'm going to not pay attention to resources right now, but I'm just going to talk about some of the main classes that you see here. The main class is the class that sort of focuses on initializing everything. And so you have stuff like your mod ID and everything stored in here. Well, it's actually stored in your reference, but you have the add mod annotation in here. You take care of some of your proxy issues. You have to set up your mod so that if you're running it on multiplayer, it doesn't try to throw the textures you created around and crash everything. We also have our own special creative tab for this mod that gets initialized in here. and you have these events that have to load in the crafting recipes, world generation, your proxy settings, and then in the pre-init you have to register all your items and blocks. Okay, you're not going to spend much time in the main because most of the other, it's set up to just sort of take information from the other classes. So if you do things in the other classes right, it'll get into your main. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about the proxy settings, just trust me, those are right. You'll have reference. This is where you have your mod ID, which you'll see this term pop up every now and then in other classes. It's always going to send to the computer whatever this is. So when you decide on a name for your mod, you should change your name to whatever your name is in like normal human speech, and then you should change your ID to something like a short, easy to type version of that name that you want. And you're also going to want to do that in your, where is it? Under your resources, you have this thing called this mcmod.info file. You're going to also want to mess with that, and unless you want your mod to come up as my mod and everything, which you probably don't. All right, so we also, most of the stuff you're going to be messing with are the block, are the things in this init. Your mod blocks, your mod items, and your mod crafting. When you make your blocks here, you make your items here, and you make your recipes here. You might mess a little bit with mod world gen. That's when you create your own sort of ore blocks. This is what causes them to naturally occur when you generate a world. It gives you like the kind of random places here, 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 and here. Then you will be creating your own classes. So when you make a mod or make an item in mod items, and that item's just sitting there, so the computer knows you have an item. It even knows that it's associated with a class, but to get into the specifics of the class, you're going to have to create its own class in here. So that's the basics of setting up your classes and packages. Now, some of you may be continuing working on the mod that you started in camp, and if that's the case, it's going to look a little different because you've changed things. But just know that when you're done with that mod, you can always start over by loading that SRC folder that you got in your flash drive or you downloaded from our webpage back into your Forge folder and replacing everything, and then that's like a clean slate and you start from the beginning with all of the classes and packages that came pre-set up for you to work from. All right, so next time we're going to get into a little bit more detail about how to do some of the cool Forge stuff, or the cool Eclipse and Forge stuff, and make a really neat Minecraft mod. We'll get into items and blocks.